Hello, I'm Cindy Arenberg Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to another edition of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. Last year, I had the pleasure of doing a one-hour special episode with Broward County Public Schools Superintendent and Children's Services Council member, Mr. Robert W. Runcie. We discussed the partnership between Broward County Public Schools, the CSC, and community organizations on various topics, including ending the schoolhouse to jailhouse pipeline, the Minority Male Success Task Force, early care and education, and the campaign for grade level reading, as well as its 4 pillars. In this episode, Mr. Runcie will be discussing the progress made on those issues and will be providing a community update regarding the SMART Bond, short for Safety, Music, and Art, Athletics, Renovation and Technology Bond. Phew. Approved by referendum in November 2014 by Broward County voters, this $800 million general obligation bond is to provide critically needed funding for the learning environments of Broward students. Mr. Runcie, it's always such a pleasure to be with you.
It's always a pleasure to be with you as well, and I so much appreciate the partnership that we have with the Children's Services Council. Your services that you provide to our families and children in Broward County are indispensable, so thank you for the work that you guys do.
Well, with our mission to provide the leadership, advocacy, and resources for all of our children, there's no way that we could succeed in that without partnering with the school district.
Yep, cheers to that. There we go. Yes.
Okay, so today we want to talk about a few of those topics that we addressed last time, but most importantly, I think, the Broward Reads campaign for grade level reading, and then the SMART Bond. Yeah. Broward Reads is such a fantastic community collaborative. You, CSC, the county, Commissioner Furr is a great leader there,
he is. Yes.
And the Early Learning Coalition, as well as hundreds actually of partners around the county. And you just told me that you're seeing the results pay off.
Yeah, we are. We've seen our English language arts scores came out from the Florida Standardized Assessment, and we've seen an increase in uptick in student achievement and literacy, so that's a huge plus. And we have some schools, a number of schools actually have had double-digit increases. One of the largest was at Plantation. Plantation Elementary had about 20-something point increase. Yeah, so it was a huge jump. A lot of initiatives going on there. So our approach that we put in our schools that is uniform and consistent throughout Broward County is called balanced literacy, which takes our students from guided reading to becoming independent readers and writers by 3rd grade, and doing that uniformly in every classroom. I think is really going to pay dividends for us, and we're starting to see some of the results now. One of the schools I've certainly had my eyes on, Walker Elementary, for example, turnaround school for us. I think they saw a 12, 13 percentage point increase. So we're very pleased at the trends that we're seeing, and we just need to stay the course and continue to just get better and better to support our teachers, make sure we're allocating time for them to really do this. And this literacy piece is really the most important skill that we can give our students. If you can't read and write and think critically about that, you won't really be able to learn about any of the other subjects that we have, and you're going to struggle throughout your academic career. So getting that foundation early on is an absolute imperative that we have to get done right for every student in Broward County, and we're committed to that, and we're going to throw everything we can at it.
So I really want our viewers to applaud you for the focus, because it is so critical and it's easy to ignore, as I think it maybe happened for years. And I also want to fill them in on how they can participate, because the campaign for grade level reading is meant to support those efforts, and it really is a community-wide effort. So we're looking at early care and education, so improving the quality of childcare, attendance, and I know you guys have made a huge push for attendance matters. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So we have a huge initiative throughout the county where we're monitoring attendance. We're providing interventions where we see that students are having challenges, and in many cases, you know, we try to provide wraparound services to families to the extent that we can and partner with outside entities. And then we applaud and recognize our students for that. So we have ceremonies and recognitions for them. So yeah, attendance is key. You have to be in school in order to ensure that you're taking advantage of the opportunities we have in this great country, which is we have a quality education system here in Broward. One thing I want to touch on, which you alluded to, is that access to books and content is essential for all this work to move forward. And so one of the things I want to applaud our school board for is that they're supporting us. We brought a proposal to them to outfit all of our elementary school classrooms with classroom libraries. So we did a significant contract with Scholastic, and we're gonna have classroom libraries in all of our elementary school classrooms. That is a huge thing for us. So we want to make sure our kids have access to books. We also are going to partner with our business community, other entities, to essentially have campaigns to book drives so that we can actually get books and resources that we can actually provide to students so that they can not only have books in our school media centers, in their classrooms, but also in their homes. Right. And I think having books in a home is just huge to reinforce that. And of course, we have our Broward County libraries. They're a partner as well. Right. We have companies like JetBlue this summer. They're going to give...
Soar with reading.
Yeah, they're going to give out 100,000 books through kiosks that they're going to place around the city of Fort Lauderdale. I mean, those are just some huge opportunities to just keep it going, ensure that our kids are having good access to reading and literacy, and that the entire community is behind it.
And that JetBlue effort happening this summer really connects to that other pillar, which is preventing summer slide. So your schools are mostly closed or regular school is not going on during the summer, but that's where a lot of the community partnerships come in, where we have camps going on, many funded through the Children's Services Council, that are still promoting literacy in a fun way. Yeah. They will be able to take advantage of those libraries in the classroom. The Soar with Reading, some students will be going to the summer break spot where they will be fed, as well as getting books, feeding their tummies as well as their minds. Yeah. And those book drives, and then when they go back to school, we'll have that back to school extravaganza where they can get books. And also, one of my favorites in October, Read for the Record, where we'll be looking for all those volunteers and making sure that 4 and 5-year-olds all get a copy of the book to take home. Yeah.
That's always a fun event to be able to sit there and read. In fact, yesterday I did a reading initiative at Florinata Elementary School in Fort Lauderdale. It was a lot of fun. It was Real Men Read. We had over 40 men, their fathers, their parents of students in the school, some of them representatives from the community. We had commissioner there from Fort Lauderdale, and it just went into classrooms and we read to kids, and it was just really a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. So there's a lot going on, a lot of ways for folks to participate.
Yeah, I just went to my tutor mate graduation with my kids from first grade. It was just fantastic. Yeah. But I realized I could talk about literacy all day. We have to get to the Smart Bond.
Oh, yes.
Please tell us about the progress being made. There's so much in the paper about this, but I'm not sure how much of it is factual. I believe in the facts in the newspaper, not alternate facts, but tell us from your own mouth what's going on.
So what you hear about is that the program is not moving as quickly as it should, and there is some truth to that, right? So when we started up the work, we wanted to make sure that we had all the right pieces in place, we had the right team in place, that we had the right processes in place, and that took a while. So it took until March. So the voters approved the bond in November 2014. We had to get that bond validated through the courts. That was just part of the process. That took us to the end of March. And we actually didn't have the bond funds, our first set of funding, until June of 2015. And so we're approaching 2 years now. And we, since June of 2015, we had put in our program team. We have another resource that helps us to deal with market conditions and costs. And then the fall of 2015, we started to put out our initial RFPs and bids for primarily design work. But what's interesting about this is that we're at a point now where there's about 232 out of our 236 schools are part of the bond program. 206 of those schools have at least one project that's been initiated. We have about 946 projects to date, representing about $667 million worth of work. So about 65% of the entire portfolio of work has actually been initiated. Now, the majority of that work is actually in design, which means architects are actually working and developing the plans that will be used that's going to drive the actual renovation work. And that's what people don't normally see. So we've stepped up our communications in some communities to make sure that they're getting more frequent updates of what's actually going on with the design work and that they're actually part of that process. And if you want to think about design, I mean, you can almost think about it if you go in to get some kind of, medical procedure or you're not feeling well, they're going to run tests and they're going to do some analysis and they're going to make sure that what is prescribed meets, the needs that you have. And so that's what we're doing. The architects actually go in and they actually do all the detail analysis and they turn that into specifications that we use to put out in the marketplace to get contractors to bid, and then we hire them to do the work, and then we manage that work all the way through.
And I just want to pause for a second because I don't want to lose. I think you said there were over 900 projects going on right now.
That's correct.
That's an enormous number of projects.
Yeah, it is. And folks don't even sometimes appreciate the complexity of what we're doing. There's about 1,500 projects overall, which is why we said to our community from the very beginning, there is no way that we can responsibly and technically get all of that work done in a year or two. So this is really more of a marathon than it is a sprint. So our statement to the public was that we would start all of this work within 5 years and complete it within 7 years. We are still on track to deliver on that promise. And so that's the renovation work. And we could come back to that a little bit. And I'll also say that, there's other pieces to it. The technology work has gone extremely well. We've completed that ahead of schedule. We finished all that work this past February. We deployed 83,000 computers, over 83,000 computers in our schools in Broward County. So when we started this effort, our student to computer ratio was 6 students per computer. Our goal was to get it down to 3.5 to 1. We are down to 2 to 1. So we've actually surpassed our goal, and we've actually done that under budget and faster than what was projected. So, we've been able to provide that resource. It's impacting our classrooms, our digital learning environments today. We've also expedited the deployment of music equipment. We're going to do that over 5 years. We've crunched that down, trying to get that done within 3 years. Our schools have ordered over 50,000 musical instruments. We've actually delivered about 27,000 musical instruments within the past year to schools, and we will deliver another 23,000 within a year. So our band program, our music programs, a lot of what we do in the arts, they're benefiting right now from the bond program.
So I think one way to look at this is that the things that you can just purchase, which is still not easy when you're talking about 50,000 instruments or how many computers you're talking, 83,000, that's no easy task, but it's still where it can be something as simple as, okay, we just want to buy tubas or laptops. You are doing that.
Yeah, and
but
those aren't even...
building is complicated. It's not as simple as you waking up in the morning and go, I'll hire a buddy down the street and he'll just hammer a few nails and we will have renovated this school and put a new roof on. You also have to comply with a lot of rules that people may not realize.
When you have to get work done on your house, you don't go to what's called SREF, which is a set of rules that the state has that governs school facilities. We build to a different standard than any home you're going to find. That's why when we have hurricanes coming through Broward County or major storms, our schools are hurricane shelters. They're hurricane shelters for a reason, because they are built, again, to withstand a lot of things you wouldn't normally have in a home. These, as I tell folks, these aren't Home Depot type projects. But what I will say, just like your home, there's a lot that needs to be done. And in Broward County, we were at a point in 2011 when I arrived here, we had over $3 billion of unmet maintenance needs that were deferred. A lot of that resulted from the fact that this county had been growing for a number of years prior to that. We built out the western part of the county. There was a lot of growth going. I think at one point we were seeing maybe 10,000 new students per year showing up in Broward County. And trying to keep up with that kind of demand and building construction, it really left a lot of the legacy schools, the older schools in the county, particularly in the east, weren't getting the attention they need. What we're doing now is creating what we want to get to, which is an equitable learning environment in every single school, and not just in terms of their technology and access to music equipment, but in terms of the physical environment that they have, which is making sure that everybody's got a sound roof over their heads, that the indoor air quality and the HVAC systems are solid. Those are the basics we're trying to do, because just like a homeowner, you got lots of projects you may want to do, but you got to make sure that your roof's working and your air conditioning's working. Those are the top priorities, and that's what a lot of this work in the bond is about, is to making sure that we're meeting the most critical needs. And that's why we focused on $800 million out of the $3 billion, because we knew we couldn't get $3 billion worth of work done overnight. And we wanted to be responsive to taxpayers, right? And we didn't want to overburden them, and we haven't. And we're pretty pleased with how that's the program is shaping up and where we're going. So, yeah.
Speaking of taxpayers, I think there may be some confusion about how taxpayers pay for what, and what is actually in the control of our school board and you in implementation, and what gets dictated from Tallahassee, and how that interplay happens.
Yeah, Tallahassee sets a cap on what's called our millage rate, which is a tax rate that we use to obtain and secure dollars to maintain our facilities, and that's 1.5 mils as it is now, which is, by the way, 25% less than where it was in 2008. So it's still operating at
Wait, say that again? The millage rate now that Tallahassee tells us that you can levy is 25% less than it was?
In absolute numbers, but if you actually were to factor in inflation and so forth, it'd be much lower than even the 25%. So here we've been going on and on. The needs are getting greater, but we actually had less money coming in. That's why we had to go out for a bond referendum. And so Tallahassee controls that, but what Tallahassee cannot control is, and they can't touch our general obligation bond monies. That's raised by local taxpayers through a referendum. That money stays here, is being invested in the schools. The other piece, that income stream, it varies. And one of the concerns we have right now is that the legislature has passed a bill, House Bill 7069, which will divert about $100 million of capital money from Broward County schools over to charter schools, whether they need it or not, nor whether they are run and managed by private enterprises. Now, again, those dollars come out of the millage. It's not part of the smart bond referendum money. But the reason why we went out for the bond is because we don't have enough money. So our strategy has always been a combination of the bond money plus the millage that comes in. We can put those together and be able to complete these needs and continue a lot of the maintenance work that we have. So, you know, we're very concerned about that.
So they're cutting the floor out from under you.
So that's why we've been pushing really hard for our taxpayers, our parents in Broward County and throughout the whole entire state to encourage the governor to veto this bill. It's bad for kids, it's bad for our teachers, and it's bad for our community. And it only passed by one vote in the Senate, one vote. So That is not what
Say
I call.
the name, what bill number?
It's called House Bill 7069.
7069.
Everyone's been talking about it. There's been editorials written in almost every newspaper you can. I know I've spoken about it quite a bit. You can follow me on Twitter, Robert W. Runcie, and you'll be able to track what's going on with that, as well as what's going on with our bond projects. It's, whenever we complete work or we have another milestone, we send information out. We have quarterly updates that we put out. We have a monthly update on the SMART program as well. We have a new, what we call School Spotlight. So we've been working quite a bit with our Bond Oversight Committee, because it's an independent entity that oversees what we're doing. And we've worked to tweak and fine-tune and improve the quality of the information that we're providing to the public, so that they can be able to track specific schools, where the work is, what the status is.
I know that one of the big concerns that a lot of people had was some of the roofs that were just leaking like crazy. How are those progressing? Because that's a real critical.
So those roofs are in those 900 plus projects. There's some additional ones that need to be done. Let me just say, we don't have situations out there that we let deteriorate. We still have a maintenance function in this county. They do a tremendous job maintaining 36 million square feet of space in this district, with about 700 people, if you can imagine that. Wow. So when we have situations that we find that requires immediate attention, they're on it, they're fixing it, they're doing patchwork. But at some point, you can't just keep patching and patching. You need to do a real kind of fix, just as your roof. You patch one space, you go in another one. I mean, after a while, you need a new roof, and that's where we're headed. But we, obviously, we make sure that our students, our teachers, and administrators are in facilities that are safe, that they've got all the tools and resources they need. So we don't compromise on that. That's a daily thing that we focus on.
I think it's easy to forget the magnitude. I always find when I try to explain to people who live outside of here, but even those here, that Broward County is actually larger than 13 states. You are managing a school system that is not a little county. It's enormous.
Yeah. It's the 6th largest school system in the country. With 270,000 students. By the way, I may say maybe the most diverse. We have students from over 200 different countries and nationalities in Broward County. We have about 32,000 employees. We're the largest employer in Broward County. About half of those individuals, roughly 15,000, are teachers in the classroom, and the rest are everyone from bus drivers to food service workers to custodians. That all play a key role in keeping this system going. And I will tell you that I'm pretty proud of this district and what goes on in our schools and our classrooms. When you look at what our core business is, educating our students so that they can have an opportunity to develop their abilities, no matter what they may be, to pursue interest in life, where they're going to be able to have an impact on society and the world. Our teachers are doing that. I see that each and every day when I talk to kids, when I go into classrooms. I mean, it really, really is inspiring. And I think this is the most important work being done in this country. And again, that's why I get very angry and irritated when I see things going on in the legislature which are not prioritizing education investment at a time when our economy is robust. We have the largest budget that the legislature has passed ever. It's $83 billion. Revenue collections that are at a high, property values have rebounded, unemployment is at a low. It's a great economic climate for us now. We should be making investments in education when we can, not cutting back.
I couldn't agree more. And somehow, even though you're very fit, I have this image of you on a treadmill, and they keep speeding it up so that no matter how fast you run, you can't catch up, because you're trying, and then they just cut it out from under you.
Well, when at the end of the day, I have to say that I'm extremely grateful for the employees that work in this district, especially our teachers who work tirelessly to serve our kids, notwithstanding what's going on in the political landscape. They're focused on our kids. They do this work out of passion and purpose. Our kids see that, they respond to it. So we're very fortunate to have a community of folks here within the Broward family that are making things happen, notwithstanding what's out there. So whatever we can control, we can control our behavior, we can control, our attitudes, we can control our commitment to the work that we do, and so we do that to the very best that we can with kids at the top of mind priority at all times.
And so with that being said, in our closing 2 minutes, I want to bring us back to literacy again, because I think that's a great way that the community can show how much it cares about children. So we have we have book collections, we have TutorMate, which they can do through Innovations for Learning.
Yeah.
A half an hour from your desk with a first grader. By the way, my first grader begged me to follow him into second grade, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed. But great. I saw my student go from a level 3 to a level 10 by giving him a half an hour a week, of course supplementing the great work that your teachers are doing. But it really felt good to know. Yeah. We have United Way's Reading Pals program. They can donate books.
Yeah. Yes.
What else would you ask of them to do?
Well, look, as you mentioned, I think we can't have enough volunteers in our schools, and believe it or not, we have over 40,000 people that volunteer in our schools.
Wow.
And we can always use more. This is a community to have a lot of elderly and retired folks. Hey, look, your life is not over. You could have a huge impact on a young child, get involved in the school. We have a lot of different type of reading programs we have. Go to your neighborhood school, meet with the principal, tell them you want to read, you want to help with literacy. We'll welcome you with open arms. Different community-based organizations, we would encourage them, whether you're the Rotary or you're one of the fraternities or sororities or business organizations or chambers, they could all do book drives, and those books can be used to deliver to our kids where they can actually have them at home, and just many other places. So there's a lot that can be done, and again, we're going to keep moving ahead and make sure that we give our kids what they need and what they deserve.
Thank you so much for being here today, and more importantly, thank you for being our superintendent and our council member. Our partnership is tremendous, and I just love working with you. Thank you so much.
We love working with you too. Thank you.
So thank you for taking time today to join us and hear from Mr. Runcie as he provided our viewers with an update on our partnerships, including the Broward Reads campaign and the progress made on the Smart Bond, and how this investment is addressing the needs of our students and families in Broward County. We appreciate the school district's diligence in providing the best education and school experience to our children so they can excel and be prepared and confident for college and the workforce. For copies of this or any other episode of Future First, go to our YouTube library through our website, cscbroward.org, like us on Facebook, and remember to join us next time on Future First, Focus on Broward's Children.